I'm Tom Haag. We live right here at Eden Valley, Minnesota. I farm with my son Nathan. We farm corn and soybeans, 1,900 acres, 1,100 acres of corn, and about 800 acres of soybeans. My grandfather started this in 1916. My folks moved back to this farm in 1955. I was on this farm from 55 until 2012. Now Nathan lives here, and my wife and I live about 6 minutes away, and makes it still perfect where it's close enough for me to still have an easy trip to come to the farm every day and do our work. Every year is a different opportunity to do something. You never know what Mother Nature is going to bring us. And, you're not doing the same thing every day. I enjoy farming. I enjoy the spring a lot, but the fall is the best when you're bringing in that crop that you saw grow all summer long, and you see the benefits of what you did over the course of the year to be at the end. And the fall is my favorite time of the year. I started out just an average farmer. Well, all of a sudden got involved with Minnesota corn growers and saw some passion there to move on to get into leadership at Minnesota, move on to leadership to become a board member of NCGA, and all of a sudden then just saw that, hey, I can do this as a president. I could be that person. And one of the things that I'm doing is for help of my son Nathan and my grandchildren for the 5th and 6th generations to keep this farm going. During my presidency, I'd like to see that we continue to work hard with the higher blends of ethanol. And we have one right now with, it's in the House and the Senate side is the Next Gen's Fuel Act, which would increase ethanol up to a 30% blend into the gasoline. That is very important. That gives us more grind. One of the things that we have coming this year, we have a new farm bill that Congress is going to be looking at. On that, we're going to make sure that crop insurance is our #1 priority to be taken care of. That is very important for the farmers. As a new president, I'd like to see that we're all in, that all the states are on the same page, working for the same things. There is nothing that we cannot do. Good morning, and welcome to my farm here in Eden Valley, Minnesota. October is the start of a brand new fiscal year for us. And with that comes new leadership. On Saturday, I started my job as president of NCGA. And this year, with the new year already shaping up to be a big one for American corn farmers. There's the next farm bill. There's unfinished business in ethanol. And that's just barely scratching the surface. The new year brings new challenges and new opportunities. But I don't know where they all might go, but I do know that we'll be ready to meet them. I'm Tom Haag. I'm excited for the new year, and I'm all in for American corn farmers. And now with that, I will take questions from our participants.
So again, if you've got questions, you can type those in the chat, or you can hit the raise hand button and you can unmute yourself and go ahead and ask Tom.
Tom, while people are typing some questions in the chat, let's just start off with, you touched on it a little bit in your opening statement and video, but why are you excited to be president of NCGA, and what are your top priorities for this coming year?
I think it's just, it's a new challenge, and it is something that you work your way up through, starting at your state level and then at the national level. And just to be chosen from your corn board members as the one to be the president, it's just quite an honor. But it takes hard work to get yourself that far. But I'm excited about it, and then we've got some exciting things going on with us, and with ethanol. A couple of years ago, we started that a new Next Gen Farms Bill Act, and to get that started out in D.C. Well, luckily enough, we had Representative Butos from Illinois to get it started in the House side, and we got bipartisan people
and politicians, I mean, from both sides doing, signing on to that bill. And this past summer, we also got, it started in the Senate with Senator Klobuchar from my state and Senator Grassley from Iowa. So we got it going in the Senate now. So, I mean, the ball's rolling. I think there's a great opportunity for that to follow through, because if we can get a 30% blend, I think if they want to use the science behind our technology, that we can compete with the electric vehicles and can go forward. And if we can use more ethanol, that just makes more grind for corn farmers down the road. And the other big item we have coming up is the farm bill that we have coming up. Ours is coming to an end, and the new one here for 2023 is going to be started. And one of the big things there is that our top priority from NCGA is to be leaving crop insurance alone, leave it where it's at. It works. It's a private public entity. And like I say, it's working, and we need that tool in our toolbox to continue down the road in farming.
Thanks, Tom. We've got a question from a couple of others. We've got Mark Dornkamp. He says, "Congrats, Tom." And then he says, "How do you see NCGA addressing high fertilizer costs in the next year?"
It's something Mark, thanks for the question, and and saying congrats to me. We started off talking with Mosaic about this, and I think they understood that they didn't understand at the beginning that we were their main users. They always think, well, it's the retailers and all that. Well, we've caught their eye. It's just now a matter of continuing to put pressure on them. And, prices have come down a little bit, but when you had a 300% increase and now we're only down to a 200% increase, it's still high enough. But we got to continue to work at them and talk with them, and just to let them know that our high prices are not going to stick around forever. They're going to eventually start moving down, and with that, we're hoping they realize that they're going to have to do the same thing and follow our suit, and just happen to go down that way.
Thanks, Tom. So we've got a question from Kara Hart with the Red River Farm Network. She says, "Congrats, Tom. What are your thoughts on the impending import ban of genetically modified corn in Mexico and what that means for the U.S. corn industry?"
Yeah, that's a good one. Hi, Kara. That one we just, AgriPulse brought out some information on that this morning, and that's they're our major importer of corn, and it started out it was only going to ban maybe food for them and their food grade. Well, as they get deeper into this, it gets tougher and tougher, because it might ban going into our livestock feed, our GMO corn. American farmers are not going to stop growing corn or GMO corn. They're going to continue to produce it, and we've got some things going on in the background with USTR. If we have to have a lawsuit, because with our trade agreements, they're not according to what USTR says, they're not living up to what they're supposed to during this. What was in what they negotiated, what they wanted in this trade agreement. So we're going to be one that's out forceful and strong, leading for us to keep that up in front. It would be a loss for American corn farmers in money wise, but thing it also do it'd increase the food value in Mexico, 16% for tortillas. So it's a major one, and we're working hard on it. Our staff in DC is following it, and like I say, we're going to be behind this. It's one we're not going to let go away.
Thanks, Tom. Got a question from Susan Littlefield. She says, "Congrats," and says, with some frustrating times in agriculture and recent numbers showing that stress levels and suicide are running high in agriculture, what can a national organization like NCGA do to help share mental health assistance and options to their members?
You know, oh, thank you for the congrats. And that is always one that, you know, in the farmers, especially with the stress that it just seems to hit during certain times, especially, you know, in the spring when we want to get all our farming done and get our planting done. In the fall, we rush to get everything done. But, you know, it's something that you talk about at all our meetings. We had this discussion with some of our corporate sponsors, what they do in their organizations for the same type of situation that you asked me. So we're talking about this. We try to get the information out there to our growers to say, hey, you got to just step back, take some time, take a deep breath. If you don't get it all done today, tomorrow we'll be able to work at it again. But it's something that's out in the forefront in front of us, and we have to keep talking about it and getting that information out to our members.
Thanks, Tom. We've got a question from Chris Clayton. So what does NCGA want to see out of a new farm bill other than no change in crop insurance?
Well, I think some of the other things that, you know, the crop insurance, like I mentioned earlier, that's our number one priority. We've got to make sure there. But I think the other thing, it'll come down to what amount of money they have in the farm bill, what they can do. You know, we don't want to all of a sudden say, okay, let's do this Rob from Peter to pay Paul over there. Well, that doesn't help solve the situation. We've got to see if there's some extra money to, you know, if there's something they can do with reference pricing to increase that. Some of the other strong points, though, is that with the ARC and the PLC in the last farm bill, you know, they let us change after 3 years. We could have a choice of flipping, flopping, or where to PLC or back to ARC or whatever. So we want to keep that in there to, you know, because it's a choice that we need, a choice that we want to have. But I think the biggest thing is going to be to see if there's extra money left in if there's new money to be left in the farm program or the farm bill, to see where we would like to go. And once we have that, if we find out there's new money, then we're going to be able to discuss that more with our board and our staff to see which way is the best way for that bill to go for our members.
Thanks, Tom. And we've got Todd Gleason. You've had your hand up for a while now, so thanks for waiting patiently.
Hey, good morning, Tom. Thank you for taking our questions today. I'm wondering about the Supreme Court with the addition of Jackson Brown yesterday, as they talked about WOTUS, or the waters of the U.S. She and the rest of the Supreme Court appeared to lean towards the intent of Congress. I thought you might have something to say about what that might have meant. And I picked that up from a Political article this morning.
Thank you. The waters of the U.S. We're at it's a new one here for me here, just getting on here as a president. But you know, we had it situated here a number of years ago where they wanted to be this, and then all of a sudden we're changing and we went back to more of our normal way of what we had things going, and now we want to change it again. And this is that's hard on the American corn farmers and farmers alone, just because no consistency, no common sense going one direction or the other. And I know talking with our staff, we are following an amicus brief on this. So it's out there. We're following it, and we would like it to kind of stay this way it was, and that's in the long run the cheapest way for American farmers to work it out.
Thanks, Tom. We've got a question from Scott Cullum from Alpha Ag Network. He says, congrats, Tom. And he says, with the ongoing drought affecting barge shipping on the Mississippi, do we need to increase rail and road systems to make up for changing climate?
That's a good question. Being up here in Minnesota, you know, where that Mississippi starts and all that, and it's amazing how what we've gone through in my area. We were dry this year, so yeah, we can tell our water levels are down. And the bad part about it is barges can take so much more grain than off the rail and off our you know, and trucks on the road. It'd be great if we could, if the water levels were there, to leave them where they're at. But that's a very good question. To me, it's a hard one to answer, because the Mississippi River, that way to get our product down to New Orleans and down to all the ports there is the easiest and most efficient way to do it, just because it's less trucks on the road, and our seems like our railroads are busy the way they are. And it's that's a tough question, but it's I would, you know, even though we got low levels, we got to continue to see if we can't do something to improve that, or not improve that, but just to see if we can't continue to make it that way. And if not, then I guess we got to start looking at other modes. But the waterways are still the best way to move our grain.
Thanks, Tom. Right now, I'm not seeing any other questions. Just a reminder, you can type those in the chat or raise your hand and we can call on you and you can ask Tom. If we don't have any more questions, we don't need to keep you guys hanging on too long. Give it another few seconds. Go ahead, Todd.
We haven't asked how the crop is in your part of the world. How is it?
It's the beans did not look good through June and July, because we did not have much moisture at all. We started getting rains in August. I'm surprised a little bit that they're doing as well as they're doing. I guess it always says beans are made in August, and that's probably a true statement of what's going on. We've got beans running in the upper 40s to 50s, which is more of a normal crop for us, but I would not have guessed that. Corn, I expect corn to be down just because of during that time in June and July, the lighter soil, there will really basically won't be anything there, just a little nubbin. The hillsides will be down less. So I'm thinking we're going to have more of a less than average crop for us this year. If we can average, normally we're in that 175 to 180. If we're in that maybe 140, maybe 130, and that might be wishing, but you don't know until you get the combines in there, and a lot depends upon you know, what the quality of the corn is going to be. Is it when we start the pick, is it going to be wet, or is Mother Nature going to dry us down? We had a little bit of a frost last week, just enough to ding the leaves, but now the end of this week, they're talking a harder frost. So, you know, if that corn isn't quite mature, then our test weight's a little bit lighter, and that gives us less bushel. So, but my area, we're down now. Southern Minnesota, where they had more rain, it's they're getting a nice crop, probably a little above average. So our whole state will average out, you know, how it goes, and we're just happen to be into this year as a dry year.
Thanks, Tom. We got a few more questions coming in. Kara Hart with RRFN. What other Minnesota-focused corn policy priorities do you hope to address during your year as president?
Kara, you really threw a good one there. I think you know, I think the other thing that I just want to stress more is that you know, the organizations, we're only 1.5% of the population that grow food for our world and our country. I think the biggest thing is our commodity groups and our other groups have to you know, we got to work together to stay unified. We don't need to be bickering about this and bickering about that, and going down the road that, oh, this isn't, you guys should be doing this or shouldn't be doing that. We all gotta be all in. We gotta be working together or have communications to be working together. And that if we can have that happen, we can have a stronger voice, because we can have with a stronger voice. And when we go out to DC and talk more of as a group, that we're all on the same page, that that'll help a little bit. I know it's just kind of a broad statement I gave there, Kara, but I think it's just the organizations working together and having a good communications.
Thanks, Tom. We've got one from Chris Clayton. He says, coming back to the Mexico situation, what have your discussions been with USDA and USTR about using the USMCA to protect corn exports?
That is, that's something that it has been brought up. I was just this morning before our brief news or our conference here this morning, I was talking to our staff out in DC about that. And that is one of the things that he brought up. He says that we would encourage a lawsuit with USTR to go against Mexico on their trade agreements, because if this is what they signed in the trade agreements for the agreement, to the USMCA, to say this is what we would do and follow through, we would then have every right to push USTR to do a lawsuit and say, hey, you guys are not filling your obligations, and this is the reason we're going to file this lawsuit against the country of Mexico.
Thanks, Tom. I don't see any more questions at the moment. Give you guys a minute or so and then call it good. Thanks for all the questions. They're really good. Tom, I think that's all the questions. Anything you want to add on the end?
No, I just want to say thank you for everybody that took part in this briefing this morning, and I'm sure we'll be talking down the road this next year of what all happens. Like I say, with the Farm Bill, with Mexico, there's like I mentioned in the opening statement, there's a lot of new things happening, and we're just going to have to roll with them as this year goes on.
All right, thanks, Tom, and thanks everybody for joining and all the great questions, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.